Thank you for attending this session on elements of data visualization. Great visualizations can make data come alive, leading to better insights and decisions. Data consumers of every kind rely on dashboards to perform their work. What are some of the elements of great visualizations? Data visualizations have the power to tell intense stories in a small space. When done well, data visualization can turn reams of data into meaningful stories that have content and weight because of their brevity and intricacies. Data visualizations should be engaging. Data visualizations should be stunning. Data visualizations should be well selected. Data visualizations should be contextually relevant. Data visualizations should be snackable. Best practices start with the right data visualization platform. And often in this class, we have used Tableau. Let's go back to that bullet that says data visualizations should be snackable. What does that mean? Let's say that you're given a whole plate of food as a meal, but you only pick certain parts. You snack on the plate that is given to you. That's the same as only using bits and pieces of a dashboard that is presented to you. You're not taking the whole dashboard, you're taking bits and pieces, which represents snacking on your dashboard. Writing and coding is difficult enough on its own. Visual content in a data visualization can feel like new and overwhelming territory. Visual content is subjective, but is a crucial element in data visualization. It can make or break your design visualization. Even the simplest design can be broken down into separate chunks or elements. These elements include line, shape, color, texture, and type. So I have a chart here, and you can see that this chart has lines, it has thinner lines, and it has thicker lines that show a demarcation from one part of the chart to the other. The shape it uses, the shape it chooses to employ are circles, just like a cluster chart. There are different colors on the circle and texture. If you look at some of the bubbles, it has one bubble going into another. This is the texture aspect, kind of developing a feel between two of the bubbles. That's what we mean by texture. Understanding how each element influences your design and using them accordingly lets you create something that evokes a specific emotion, complements your content, and aligns with your brand. Lines might seem like a simplistic tool, but they're crucial for organizing visual information and setting the tone for a design. Horizontal lines evoke feelings of stillness and stability. Vertical lines, on the other hand, are energetic. Picture an alert, upright person. If you want to create a sense of drama, use digital lines. They convey a restless, even, raw sense of emotion. That should be raw sense of emotion. Let me change that right now. So here is a data visualization of, and this is different types of books. So I can't give you a lot of explanation on this particular graph, but you can see the use of lines, the horizontal, vertical, and diagonal lines. A lot of color in there also. So a very dynamic graph, very dynamic graph. And again, I wish I could go more into depth with it, but unfortunately I can't. To be honest, I just chose this graph because I thought it was very stunning, very stunning. And again, that's what you want out of your data visualizations. You want these to be stunning. Shapes are effective tools to convey information. Squares, rectangles, or triangles, these are geometric shapes. Geometric shapes suggest structure, control, and order. Organic shapes are irregular and often contain curves. Organic shapes are more comforting and friendly. Abstract shapes are recognizable but not realistic. Abstract shapes communicate information very quickly. So here is another graph that I chose. And again, I just can't give you too many details. What is the information that it's trying to convey? But again, very stunning, very eye-catching. Use of lines, color, texture, shapes. It has many elements of an effective data visualization. And I like this portion over here. It looks like there's a flashlight behind this particular graph. Of course, it's not true. But because this graph was so well designed, it looks like it's almost a bright light behind this graph. Probably took a lot of work to design this graph, but it probably conveys a lot of information also. So this Lift homepage is a good example of including both organic and abstract shapes. The circles are non-threatening and pleasant, while the icons help communicate Lift's message quickly and visually. So you can see on the left here the organic shapes, use of the organic shapes, the circles, the use of colors, and the abstract shapes that deliver the message quickly. This looks like a car. Lift plus, lift line. These simple figures look like people in a line. So this is Lyft's homepage, an effective data visualization. Here's another homepage. This is Basecamp. You can see that Basecamp uses organic rounded shape to evoke warmth and childlike curiosity. Look at all the questions that it's asking. Right here, you could see the organic rounded shapes, many organic rounded shapes in this data visualization for Basecamp. Finally, on this, the Visage homepage uses geometric shapes, specifically squares. It feels more professional and reliable. So this Visage is where you can sign up to get free ebooks. You can see here how professional looking this data visualization is, mainly through the use of the squares, the geometric shapes. Effective use of color. The psychology and theory of color is extremely relevant to marketing. People decide how they feel about a product within 90 seconds. And researchers have found up to 90% of that judgment is solely based on color. Further studies have found consumers are more likely to buy when a color feels right for the brand. Warm colors like red, orange, yellow, and their variation project passion, warmth, happiness, power, and energy. Cool colors, including blue, green, and purple, are calmer and more soothing. Neutral colors include white, black, and gray. Technically, they don't have an emotional effect, but no effect is an effect in and of itself. Colors are important. There's also variation within colors. Font type and style. When choosing which fonts to use, there are a couple things to keep in mind. Where is this graphic going to live, and which fonts will be around it? You don't just need external consistency, it's also important that the fonts within your graphics don't clash. If you don't want to play with font pairings, pick one font only and use it for all of your text. You can create a visual hierarchy by making the more important text, like the headline, larger, bolding, italicizing, or underlining it, or putting it in more caps. Adding another font to the mix is fine, but try not to use more than two. And you could see for this paragraph, what did I do? The headline is bold compared to the rest of the body of this paragraph. Texture is becoming integral to design. It can guide the user's eye and emphasize the importance of key elements. You can also add texture through images. This minimalism can feel refreshing and modern. So here is a chart of water starting from the top right here, dark blue, and you could see the texturing coming into play, going from the dark blue to the light blue, and also going from the sky to the water. The textural aspect of the waves make you feel like you're part of the scene. So overall, a very soothing type of chart. I think the only color I really see, maybe black, but all blue. We understand the soothing nature of the color blue. It's really black, blue, and white. Typography, or the art and technique of arranging letters and symbols, has a huge impact on whether or not your audience understands that message. Each character of a monospace font is exactly the same width. Serif refers to typefaces with little decorative markings tailing from each letter. Sans serif includes typefaces that don't have little decorative marks. Here are two fonts. The one on the left has the serif font, and you could see the little serifs or decorations attached to each letter, versus the sans serif font, no decoration. It's just a pure font, just a pure font. So depending on your application, a serif font or a sans serif font could be more effective in your data visualization. For symmetry, there should be an equal amount of quote stuff on either side of the line. That stuff has a technical term, and this is called visual weight. You should intuitively understand which elements have more visual weight than others. For example, the larger something is, the heavier it feels. But balance doesn't have to be straight up and down or top to bottom. You see that I found this graph. It has symmetry, but both pictures are tilted. But because both pictures are tilted to the same degree, it brings a sense of symmetry to this data visualization. Contrast, arranging dissimilar elements next to or near each other brings out their differences. That's why before and after pictures are so effective. You immediately see how dramatically the person has changed. I have two pictures of the actor Gary Busey. So on the left, I think this is from the movie Lethal Weapon with Mel Gibson. So that's a pretty old movie now. Still an entertaining movie, but an old movie. And on the right is a recent picture of Gary Busey. So unfortunately, I think Gary Busey got into a motorcycle accident and he's been having a difficult time after that motorcycle accident. The next picture, the next before and after picture that I have is of the actress Yasmine Bleeth. So the picture on the left is probably around the time when she was in the police show called Nash Bridges. And the picture on the right, believe it or not, is Yasmine Bleeth again. Now, Yasmine Bleeth left acting about 15 years ago. About 15 years ago. And the picture on the left, where she's in the hoodie, that is a recent picture, maybe not even 6 months ago, but fairly recent. Whereas the one when she was in Nash Bridges, I forget when Nash Bridges ran, but that could have been 20, 25 years ago. So a good contrast between what Yasmine Bleeth looked like when she was acting and what she looks like now. Rhythm. Looking at a rhythmic design will make your audience feel excited, engaged, and at ease. Creating rhythm is easy. Think of your design as a series of repeating blocks. Not only should each block be similar, but each element of each block should repeat as well. Designers repeat the general format. They repeat the font. That's a typo there. Let me correct that. Not they repeat the font. Image size. Let me start this again. Designers repeat the general format. They repeat the font, image size, spacing, navigation options, interactive choices, and icons. We see a graph here. Looks like sine waves from a math class. But it really evokes a sense of rhythm to this graph. All right, and you could see then that this graph also seems to have depth. It looks almost like a 3D type of figure because the rhythm is effectively created within this graph. White space, also known as negative space, refers to everything around and in between the other design elements. Anytime you see a blank or unfilled section of a design, you're looking at white space. You can see a lot of white space on the screen in front of you. White space is to be regarded as an active element, not a passive background. Empty space provides the other elements on your page with, quote, room to breathe. It lets you highlight the most important information, increase readability, and create a sense of order and simplicity. solid colors, solid color backgrounds may be plainer than pictures, but they're no less useful. Solid color backgrounds, on the other hand, will draw your audience's eye where you want them. You can choose colors that align with both your content and brand. So you can see on this graph of a sine wave, the effective use of a black background really brings out the sine wave in this data visualization. Of course, this is also done effectively with brands. Coca-Cola on the red background, Microsoft on this blue background, Tide detergent on this old background. Now, I'm not sure, but I don't think that Coke and that Tide background has changed in about 50 years. But they demonstrate the effective use of solid backgrounds in a data visualization. Alignment is one of the most important design principles. It helps ensure a sharp, ordered appearance for ultimately better designs by ensuring your various elements of design have a pleasing connection with each other. Center, right, or left aligned text is the most common, but you can go for asymmetry and align text to other objects in your graphic. If something does not look quite right in your design, check your alignment. So here is this graph here. Use of alignment, you could see within the narrative where I'm circling here, Soda Pop is right justified. Fairy Stories looks like it's centered, and Carpe Diem is left justified. They're using that alignment. In this, a combination of a geometric and an organic shape, centered, everything is centered. The circle within the geometric shape, the lettering within the organic shape. So alignment is very important. For an effective data visualization, many times you're going to spend a good amount of effort aligning your data visualization so that it becomes more visually informative. Using hierarchy to help focus your design. When someone looks at your design, their eyes are drawn to the headings or areas you want them to focus on most. This is called hierarchy, and it's more than good design. It's critical to the user experience. When you have multiple visual elements in a design, you want to make sure you're giving extra visual weight to your most important message. It can be accomplished in a variety of ways, using larger or bolder fonts for your typography, placing your most important message physically higher than other pieces of information or using shapes to frame the central point. So that's what I did here for the heading of this paragraph. It's at the top. It's higher than anything else. Bolder font. And I'm using the shape, basically a rectangle, to frame the central point of this heading. Leverage contrast to accentuate important detail elements. Contrast is an important design principle because it lets you draw out the most important elements of a design and add emphasis. High contrast can help you guide the viewer's eyes to the most important parts of your design first. Contrast happens when two design elements are in opposition to each other. When decision making, consider using contrasting colors or pairing bold typefaces with delicate fonts to help make variety in your design work that strategically emphasizes parts of your design. Use repetition to your advantage. Repeating colors, fonts, words, or shapes can help tie your design and overall look together. It also helps people remember your brand or other important information. Employ repetition in your overall content strategy by using consistent colors, fonts, and brand imagery. So on the right there, you can see the use of dice, the repetition in the use of dice, a lot of dice there. On the left, I'm not sure what design I chose there. But again, a lot of repetition, right? Same color, same shapes, okay? Use of organic and geometric shapes in this design element. Again, I don't know what this design element is of, but I think it's visually stunning, right? It's a real eye catcher, whatever it's trying to communicate. Consider proximity when organizing your graphic elements. Proximity is also helpful in creating organization on a design, since similar or related elements should be grouped together to create a relationship between them. You'll most often see proximity employed in lists, menus, and invitations. Ideally, you cluster the elements together in a way that helps to declutter the overall design and supports the comprehension of the information. Okay, so just think of menus, right? I ate Chinese food the other day, and the menu at the Chinese restaurant, it was broken out into noodles, chicken, pork, beef, seafood, and vegetables. So I ate with a group of people, and we said, okay, let's go out there. Let's choose a chicken dish. Let's choose a Noodle dish, let's choose a vegetable. Again, it was easy because all the chicken dishes were together. All the pork dishes were together. They used proximity to make the menu easy to navigate. Easy to navigate. Make sure your designs have balance. Balance gives a design its form and stability. It's about helping the viewer's eye travel through the content in a way that aids comprehension. Symmetrical balance weights the elements evenly on either side of the design, while asymmetrical balance uses contrast to even out the flow of design. So on the left there, you see a picture of two bridges. Now I think they're famous bridges, but I don't know what they are. And that's not a mirror image picture. If you look closely, the left side of that bridge picture is different, a little bit different than the right side. But the bridges itself are symmetrical. And I think it's a famous architectural design for that bridge. The design on the right there, the plaid design, it has asymmetrical balance. And where does the asymmetry occur? On the left side, we're using purple boxes. On the right side, we're using reddish boxes. So there's balance, but there's asymmetry based on the colors. Based on the colors. So again, the one on the right has balance and it has asymmetry. The one on the left, the picture of the bridges, symmetrical. They're trying to show a balance between these two bridges. Optimize color to support your design. Color is a powerful design principle because it helps you communicate on an emotional and subconscious level. Blue tends to make people feel calm or trusting, while red can help rile up emotions and get people to take action. Leave lots of negative space or white space. Never underestimate the power of simplicity. Negative space, also known as white space, creates shape and can help you highlight the most important pieces of information in your design. The parts of your design you choose to leave blank are just as important as the parts you're filling with color, text, and images. Now, what are some other factors? Other factors impact the readability of your text in your data visualization. Tracking how much space exists between each letter. You can see in that sentence, tracking one space between each letter. Leading how much space exists between each line. So you can see the spacing between each of the lines in this presentation, pretty consistent. That's called leading. Hierarchy, this demonstrates the relative importance of each piece of information. traditionally, titles have the largest font size, followed by subheadings, followed by the body itself. Weight. You can also create hierarchy using different weights of a font. A weight describes a font's thickness and is typically described as lighter, normal, bold, or bolder. You can see on the brown X's to the right there, even though I think they're all about the same height, you can see the weight increases going from left to right. At the very left, it's a light X. At the very right, it's a very bold X. In general, lighter weights look more subtle, graceful, and modern, while heavy weights communicate power and force. Like weight, a font style adds emphasis. Upright or normal is the most common type of font style, followed by italic. Line width, as the line implies, line width defines the horizontal width of your text or your line. And you could see, moving from left to right, the line starting light and getting more width. Here's some miscellaneous notes. Surrounding your text within a geographic shape is a quick and easy way to make your design look professional. It's also handy when you need to make your copy more legible. So here is my favorite graph today. But what makes a good visual? 4 elements: information, story, goal, visual form. The most effective visualization is a visualization that captures all of these elements: information, story, goal, and visual form. The more of these you capture, the better your visualization. So catching 1 is okay, 2 is better, 3, very good, 4, optimal. You could see this graph makes very effective use of the shape, the oval shape, the ellipse shape for information, story, goal, and visual form. So when you're trying to construct a good data visualization, keep this chart in mind. Keep this chart in mind. So in conclusion, using these fundamental principles of design starts with your message and the goal of your data visualization. Figure out what is the most important piece of information, what that is first. Then make sure that it is the focal point of your data visualization. Finally, use this presentation that you're watching as a checklist and try to incorporate as many elements in this presentation into your data visualization. And so optimizing your data visualization. So you see in the practice areas there, data visualization, data engineering. What are some of the challenges? Optimizing your dashboard. Okay, too much data within the dashboard. Dashboards that are not timely enough. But what are the positive business impacts of a strong dashboard? Deeper insight into the state of the business. More responsive data, consumer experience. Reduced operational costs. And in this course, you see that the data visualization tool that was introduced is Tableau. But using something like Excel is perfectly acceptable. So that concludes this presentation. Thank you for attending this presentation. Thank you for watching.